What's up guys, today I'm going to show you the best JDM or Japanese cars for drifting in GTA 5. Alright boys, first off we have the Annis Euros. This is an overall amazing drift car and is way better than I remembered it. It's got really good power with a very strong mid-drive speed boost. In addition to that, it handles decent. The car does have a bit more grip and is a little bit snappy, but generally is pretty smooth and easy to control and actually holds a surprisingly good amount of angle. It's also got great value given that it's from the LS Tuners DLC and has lots of customization, plus it's pretty usable in tuners and sports class races as well. However, it is pretty expensive in comparison to some other great drift cars though. Next up, we have the GOAT, the Annis Remus. This is an overall really good drift car. It has good power and a decent mid-drive speed boost. It also handles pretty good too. It's got good overall maneuverability and is very stable and smooth during drifts. However, the car is on the lighter side and also has more understeer and grip, so you'll kind of need to fight that to keep it sideways, but at the same time, you can't give it too much angle or else the car will just spin out. Overall, it's got great value considering that it's not as expensive as some of the other LS Tuners DLC cars, plus it has amazing customization. Also, it's a Sylvia, you gotta drift it, it's an awesome car. Next up, we have the Annis ZR350. This was another car that surprised me. It felt way better than it did when I last tested it. It has really good power and a decent mid-drive speed boost to keep it going. It does handle decent. It is definitely a bit finicky though. It's extremely twitchy and snappy, so you have to be very careful when counter steering to prevent the rear tires from completely losing grip and spinning the car out. However, once you get the hang of it and kind of fall into a groove, it does feel decent and the abundance of power definitely helps keep it sideways. It's also got good value. It's fairly expensive like the other LS Tuners DLC vehicles, but still has awesome customization. And next up we have the Annis ZR380. This is a pretty long lost drift car that I kind of just wanted to forget about back when the Euros was added with the Tuners update, but for this video I decided to buy it back again and I was actually pretty pleased with it. It has really good power and a great mid-drive speed boost to link together very long and high speed drifts. It also handles pretty good, but the suspension is very soft, so it's more bouncy and has quite a bit of body roll. You do have to give this car enough angle to overcome that body roll while preventing it from spinning out because the rear tires have so little grip and the wheelbase is pretty short. However, once you kind of fall into a groove with this car, it is extremely smooth and easy to control. However, this car just doesn't have the best value. It's extremely expensive and has minimal proper customization, plus it doesn't look the best with all the added armor in my opinion. However, it is kind of cool that you can actually equip the nitrous boost in the Arena War Workshop to this thing, which can actually help you when you're drifting it. Next up, we have the Dinka Jester RR. This is an amazing drift car. It's definitely one of the more underrated ones out of the whole LS Tuners DLC, but this car has lots of power and a very consistent and strong mid-drive speed boost. It's also a fairly grippy car, so it's a little bit more on the snappy side, and you do need to rely on the mid-drive speed boost more so to keep those longer drifts going. However, it is still pretty smooth and stable, but you can't give it too much angle or else it'll just spin out. It's also got great value given that it's still pretty competitive in tuners and sports class races, plus it has awesome customization. However, it is a bit more on the expensive side, but in my opinion, definitely worth it. Next up, we have the Dinka RT3000. You guys probably already know so much about this car. It's an amazing drift car. I've talked about it before, but it feels so great to drift now that it's been fixed. It makes a ton of power and has an easy and strong mid-drive speed boost to keep it going. It's also got really good handling. It's very stable and smooth with room to hold a lot of angle. It is pretty slippery, so you will need to have a good sense of car control to keep it from spinning out, but it's still awesome nonetheless. And it's especially good for beginners because you don't necessarily need the mid-drive speed boost to keep those longer drifts going. It's probably one of the best drift cars in the game, and it has awesome customization, so to me personally, I think it has great value. And next up, we have the Karen 190Z. This is a decent drift car. It makes good power and the mid-drive speed boost definitely helps to keep it going for those longer drifts. However, it can be pretty hard to consistently repeat that speed boost. Now, this is mainly because of the amount of grip the car has. The 190Z is on the lighter side and also has quite a bit of understeer, so it's a bit of a battle to keep this car sideways without it straightening out on you. At the same time though, if you give it too much angle and you don't keep the revs up, it's extremely hard to re-engage the mid-drive speed boost, and that's actually why I found the 190Z in specific drifted better without the low grip tires and just stanced. Overall, this car still does have good value considering it's not super expensive and has really good customization for a non-tuners DLC and a non-Benny's car, plus it performs decent around a track. Next up, we have the Karen Fudo. I've covered this in previous videos as well, but this is still a very capable drift car. It's not the best power-wise, but still has a decent mid-drive speed boost to keep it going. It also handles really good too. It doesn't hold the most angle and is a bit more prone to oversteer because of its short wheelbase. However, the body roll ultimately helps to keep the car a bit more stable, making it really good for beginners to learn the basics of car control. In addition, it's got great value because you can acquire it for very cheap or for free even, and there's good customization to back that up. Next up, we have the Karen Fudo GTX, and while this car isn't the fastest, it has great torque and a very consistent mid-drive speed boost. In addition to that, handling-wise, it is very balanced in terms of grip. The rear end is loose enough to keep those longer slides going, and the front tires still have enough grip to hold the car at a lot of angle, and the body roll further helps to keep the car stable and smooth during those longer drifts. In my opinion, this car has great value considering that it's one of the best drift cars in the game, especially for those beginners just getting into it. Plus, it also has awesome customization, so you can make any build you want to with this. Next up, we have the Karen Intruder, and I covered this in a recent video, but I wanted to reiterate this one just in case. This is overall a pretty good drift car. It's definitely better now because before it didn't have a ton of power, and with low grips it feels exponentially more powerful, and it also has a decent mid-drive speed boost to back that up. It also does handle pretty good because it's a longer and heavier car, but it can feel a bit boaty because it's heavier and has the soft suspension, so you do kind of need to fight that body roll to keep it sideways. Overall, it's got great value because you can steal it for free or buy it for very cheap. However, it just doesn't have much use outside of drifting and taking to car meets. Next up, we have the Karen Previon. This car is deceivingly powerful. It doesn't feel like it has a ton of power, but has an extremely strong mid-drive speed boost to keep it going. It does have a fair amount of body roll that you will need to fight to keep the car sideways. However, the power and weight of the car definitely do help you to keep those longer drifts going, but it will take a little bit of work. In addition, this car has great value considering it's one of the faster cars in the Coupes class if you're ever doing a Coupes class race. Plus, it has great customization like the other Ellis Tuner cars. However, it is still pretty pricey. Next up, we have the Volker Warner, and I've covered this recently, but I wanted to kind of cover it again because I can't sing this car's praises enough. It's a great drift car. It doesn't have a ton of power, but definitely has a mid-drive speed boost that's consistent enough to keep it going. It also handles very smooth. It has a little bit of body roll, but like we've seen with some other cars, this helps to keep it a bit more stable and smooth when drifting. This car is so balanced, just like the Fudo GTX. It is the perfect amount of front grip to keep it handling good, and lack of rear grip to make drifting easy and smooth. In addition, this car has great value. It's one of the cheaper ones that I'm covering in this video, and it's generally very underrated and has decent customization as well, so definitely one you should include if you're trying to pick out a good drift car. And last but not least, we have the Volker Warner HKR. This is a very good drift car overall. It's a bit underpowered and not the most consistent with the mid-drive speed boost, but it still has enough power and lack of grip to keep those longer drifts going. Overall, it does handle decent. It's a pretty sluggish car, but is still very, very smooth and easy to get the hang of, which makes it another really good car for beginner drifters. However, you just need to make sure you watch your steering inputs because this car can't hold a ton of steering angle. In addition, this car is on the cheaper side of the Ellis Tuners vehicles that we've covered in this video, and it has good customization, of course. However, there's not much use for it outside of drifting. So that's going to conclude my list of the best JDM or Japanese cars for drifting in GTA 5. I hope you guys enjoyed the cars that I picked and found the setups and the information about each car helpful. As always, feel free to leave any positive or negative feedback, questions, or anything else you'd like to share down below in the comment section. Thank you all so much for your continued support, and definitely stay tuned for more drifting content very soon. Thank you all so much for watching, and have an amazing day.